Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a lower body day. And I decided to pretty much keep with my other theme, other than I wanted to do a little bit of back squatting first, and I had to think about what bar I wanted to grab today. I was going to mess with that McDonald bar, but it didn't quite feel comfortable, so I'm like, oh, let me just try this bar, right? Let me just do this Cambered bar, just get used to doing some squats again. All right, come in, do a few squats. Part of me wants to do the SSB, but I can't get a front angle with the camera without having to go all the way around back, and it's kind of a hassle for filming. But there may be a point where I just go, look, getting a good stimulus is probably better than the best filming angles. But in this case, I went ahead and just did a 3x5. I'm like, let me just get a little bit of a load on my back, and then I'll make sure that I get 10 sets for quads today, no matter what. So I went with this bar, felt nice and good. I didn't go crazy heavy. Tried to get as deep as I could. Did 355 or 3x5. And again, this bar can be a bit awkward too. But the thing is, I've got all these bars, and I really just don't like cranking my shoulders up. Okay, that's really my issue with squatting. It just puts so much strain on my shoulders, and I'm really just trying to work on shoulder health and do all this full range of motion upper body stuff to continue to improve mobility, making sure I do pull-ups and all these other things, incline benching, all this stuff that really stretches my chest and stretches my scapula. And I'm wanting to not re-irritate any of it with a straight bar, but I mean, I may be able to just come back in and do a straight bar. Realistically, I feel like my shoulders are in a good place. So I'll think about what I want to do for bars next week, but I want to work squatting back in, of course. So again, just a nice 3x5. But the goal of today was to come in and do at least 10 sets of squat pattern movements, right? 10 sets for quads, 10 sets for my posterior chain, making sure the hamstrings get hit, 10 sets for calves. Okay, so that's what we achieved, right? 30 sets for lower body. Keeping in mind, we train lower body twice a week. Right? We train it twice a week. So what did we do after that? I just did my 3x5, and I'm like, I don't feel like deadlifting today. I've done some heavy deadlifts most sessions lately. I ended up doing rep work off of a 2.5 inch deficit on Tuesday. So yeah, again, just making sure I got a decently heavy squat pattern movement in. And like I said, I was going to mess with the other Cambered bar, but I just couldn't get it to feel right for some reason, right? Even though I could get my arms down in a position where my shoulders felt okay, I couldn't seem to get a really good spot for it. I may want to revisit it and work with it anyways. That is kind of the perk of having all these different bars that I have. I can kind of rotate through them and do, whatever I need to do to feel comfortable in terms of my upper body, shoulders, and just keep loading a squat pattern movement, right? And again, one of the advantages of having this stuff gives me options. But eventually I'd love to be in a place to where my shoulders just feel comfortable just getting under a normal straight bar all the time. And we may get there eventually. But the beauty of it is I've got a bunch of different intermediate bars I can work with, a few different types of cambered bars and stuff. So for the next set of exercises, we did trisets. I did glute ham raises, right? We did glute ham raises. Of course, you guys see me struggling a little with this first set of calf raises. Then we did belt squats. Went ahead and went with that same weight that is real challenging sets of 10 for me, which is 200 pounds of plate weight, plus with a little bit of micro plates. I'm not even counting those. At this point, I just count those as part of the device. When I put spacers in between to make sure I can get good ranges of motion on everything, get plates on and off. So I've got, a few pounds of those on there. But who cares, right? So 200 pounds. And I decided, since I had that bar loaded, let's just do our calf raises with it. But since I'm just training barefoot today, I didn't feel like throwing shoes on. That plate was not particularly comfortable. So I ended up going back over to just do a 45 down. It's smooth. I can just stand on it, crank up my reps. And I was able to get 12 plus reps with all the remaining sets after that. All right, we get 12 plus reps with everything else. Glute ham raises, they're nice and challenging for 10s on that particular setting with my body weight. So that's what I worked with. Those pads, though, as you guys notice, I feel like one of them is slipping and tearing again. they're too hard to get replacement pads. I've had to wait up to 9 months to get one before. Again, good device in terms of good economy. It's a $400 Glute Ham Raise, and it actually has worked great, but it's just the pads feel a little fragile. And then, getting replacements are a problem. So I end up taping them up a lot because they both torn. One of the original ones went in the trash because it just got too beat up. So, what do you do? What do you do? Like I said, good device. It's just that maybe the pad design is not the best. And then they sell replacement pads for it, but they're not always easy to acquire. It's a point where I don't even check anymore because one pair, the first one, it took me 9 months to get it. So it was even one of those where I think they had it in stock and then I ordered it and then it went on back order for 4 more months and they finally shipped it to me. So I've noticed that is affecting the form just a little, so I may need to rewrap that one side with more duct tape, pull it back over. But we still get really, really, really good hamstring stimulation, that aside. It's just one of those days where I felt like I was fighting with equipment a little bit, but you know what? We still got a really, really good training response, right? My calves got pumped, quads got lit up, hamstrings got lit up, right? So everything felt pretty good there. Although when I'm doing a little bit of a wider stance like this, because I feel like we get a few more muscles involved, I may need to adjust some stuff so I can try to get a little more depth, because I do tap those on the floor, right? Even those plates, because if you notice, I got spacers under there. That's the biggest issue with the belt squat. I almost wish I just had a really good 45-degree leg press. I wish I had a good 45-degree leg press. I feel like I'm complaining about equipment a lot today. Let's just get back over and talk training. Still, we got a good workout. We got a good workout. My quads got lit up. I felt really good activation on the squats and the belt squats. Once I kind of got sorted with picking the right plate to stand on, the calf raises felt good. Good calf pump going on there. The glute ham raises, irrespective of that, my hamstrings got a really good pump, right? Good activation, good pump. So all in all, these things flowed pretty well. They flowed pretty well. So again, it's a nice solid workout, plenty of volume. And I think what I am noting for people that my arms really are getting the most volume. Plus I've been doing some calf raises on off days and stuff too. So this weekend I ended up doing, a bunch of sets of calf raises in my office for, 40 or 50 reps because it's just my body weight, but with a deep stretch. And then I superset them with curls back and forth. Usually I do a set of curls, then a set of calf raises and go back to work back and forth. Just do them throughout the day. But that volume accumulates. So really the name of the game, other than maybe calves and arms, calves and biceps specifically, it's going to be, 20 sets of muscle group. Some movements I think like squatting and get away with some lower reps every now and then. I'm trying to keep the benching at 10, around 10, at least 8. Squatting, sometimes I just feel like heavier squatting or deadlifts are just nice. Even though I'm trying to focus on building muscle right now, everything's hypertrophy. It's still solid hypertrophy work. Although as I change bars around, some of that may change a little bit. I think on the squatting. And I may think about that of, what bar really can I get in and get comfortable with and do some sets of 10. Because at the end of the day, I do feel like when I'm chasing body recomposition and stuff and less concern for improving neural drive, that mostly higher reps is generally going to be the way to go, right? And that's come up, people have asked about that, why I'm not doing the heavy singles, why I'm not doing that stuff. And it's like, because I need to continue to get leaner. And when I get strength focused, I get strength obsessed. I'm historically a strength athlete, right? I really care about my maxes. I really care about the weight on the bar. And it lets me de-emphasize that a little bit so that I can focus on the more important goal, which is right now improving body composition, losing body fat, gaining the bit of muscle I can while doing so. Okay? That waistline has to get a lot tighter. Got to lose all that extra fat around there. Tighten all the skin up, everything. Arms have to get bigger. But I am, like I said, I'm experimenting with a little higher volume and little mini pump sessions and sets for biceps and calves. Because ultimately, since my biceps tend to lag historically, and biceps and calves tend to be muscles that if you can keep them in proportion, they can probably never really be too big anyways. It just gives me a good thing to experiment with a little in terms of messing around and seeing what really high volumes can do. And I made a video on that the other day, explaining the situation with that, and trying to take a mature approach to that research on really high volumes of training. But even then, by most standards, my 20 sets is actually pretty high, right? Anyone who's historically looked at training and training modalities will generally agree that's quite high volume. So realistically, everything is going to get high volume. Nothing's really getting less than 20 sets. So what I ended up doing with these, because I wanted to make sure I got 10 sets for quads, because I really only did the 3 sets of heavy squats, I took these up to 7. So I went ahead and started my supersets for the second set of movements for posterior chain and calves. I did the first couple of them with another set of belt squats in. Right? It's already set up. I'm already doing the supersets, so just do 2 more sets. So then what I did with that, I did my normal reverse hypers, 5 sets of these, for 15 reps. And then I'm doing the seated calf raises. So what I decided to do today is just try to push them a little bit harder. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed a 3rd plate. And I'm like, okay, and it's hard to get enough weight on these, but I got a really good pump finally. Once I started hitting 30 plus reps with 3 plates, I finally started feeling like they got a pretty decent pump. And I think some of these, when I get up and stand up and reset them back down, we can see that quite a bit. Right? We can see that pretty effectively. Calves got a really good pump. They felt good, and especially the last couple sets, because I really tried to push those out further. I think I hit somewhere in the range of 50 reps on those. But the upside, I know that's not a lot of weight, but when we start calculating in the volume and that I've done 5 sets of standing calf raises first, there's already a lot of fatigue in the calves. So then, since we take the movement that I can't, with the equipment I have, can't really load up a lot of weight, let's just go for really deep burning reps as a final movement to finish the calves and work that soleus also. Okay. So sometimes it's we work around equipment by being creative with that and saying, okay, what can I do to still get an effective stimulus there if I really want to try to get my calves to blow up. Which again, if I'm going to chase a look and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to work on actually looking good finally, right? Then we think about things like calves. Even though I've always had good calves genetically, we might as well capitalize on them a little bit, right? So if I'm going to push the arms really, really hard and try to work on my weakest link, let's try to make the calves match. And I think that's taking a balanced approach to it, of saying, okay, what can we do to really capitalize on that? Obviously, we need to lose the body fat. But yeah, I feel like really hammering biceps and calves would do a lot for me, over the long term, while working on physique goals as opposed to powerlifting goals. Okay, and so I am taking it quite serious, right? I'm taking it quite serious. I had someone ask earlier, how long do you think you can keep up these sort of training volumes? Well, as long as I get the food and the sleep, it's totally doable. Totally doable, probably for an extended period of time. I mean, I've worked with really high volumes and stuff, even while doing like that daily training, right? With a max first and then doing, 15 to 20 high rep sets afterwards every single day. Well, you start extrapolating that's 7 maxes a week plus similar volumes to what I'm doing now. It took months before the recovery started catching up with me, right? So by doing it this way, we may be able to sustain this for a long period of time. I'm just going to assess it, watch for signs of overreaching, and I've built up a lot of work capacity at this point. With a lot of these movements, I'm paying real close attention to stuff like stimulus to fatigue, trying to get the most stimulus out of them, right? So we may be able to maintain it for an extremely long time. But yeah, so what I did after the couple of sets of belt squats, we of course did a reverse hypers and the seated calf raises till we got 5 sets of each one. So what was our net result? Well, between 3 and then 7 for the squats versus the belt squats, quads, adductors, all that. Of course, glutes got hit with everything. 10 sets quads, quads and adductors. Technically 20 sets for glutes, because all of it hit glutes. 10 sets for our rectors, for the hamstrings. And then between the gastrocnemius and soleus work, 10 sets for calves. And again, this is one of my 2 lower body sessions. So when you extrapolate the math out, in theory, that's putting us right at 20 sets a week for most of the muscles. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.